voice is loud and ready to flow. Bratty and Kitty got a show to glow. Life stories wild like a late night dream. We're spilling the tea and it's hot like steam.
What is up, good people? You're watching Brudsy Entertainment. I am joined with the lovely Kitty, the main man, DJ Nicky New. Kitty, how are you today? How are you feeling?
I'm okay. I've finally got feeling back in my legs, which is always a bonus.
Feeling back in your legs, yeah? That's what happens when you go. That's what happens when you go to a rally with a black fella. I'm joking.
It was on it. Well, yeah, how many people actually thought we were a couple as well?
Yeah, a lot of them. I got a lot of awkward looks because obviously, you know, Kitty's wearing this very revealing dress, and obviously men are looking, and then they're seeing me and they're thinking, oh wait a minute, like, you know. But then I don't know what happened. I think the alcohol set in, and it was just like, fudge it. Let me just have a little look. Yeah. Nicky, how you doing today, sir?
Very well, man. All the better for having a sit down and a nice chat with yourself and Kitty, my friend. Looking forward to it as always.
Okay. Kitty, so what's been the reaction then from going to the rally, being seen, going to the rally? What's been the reaction? I know you've had a lot of negativity.
Yeah, I've had a hell of a. I've lost followers. I have lost friends. I have been called a racist. I have been called a Nazi. I don't think I'd look good with the little moustache, to be honest with you, to be a Nazi. But and my favourite, flag shagger.
Okay.
I don't think that's possible, but yeah, a flag shagger. And I was like, okay, right. I've lost friends that I've been friends with for 30 years for going, because as far as they are concerned, anybody that attended that rally was there for hate. I'm seeing a lot of stories about how much litter was on the street afterwards. So obviously everybody went there to just trash the Capitol. And that they were cruel to animals, and they were bad towards the police. Now, I was there till 5 o'clock, and the only cruelty to animals I saw, which I was quite upset about, and you and I talked about it on the day, were people that had brought their dogs, and it was busy, and the dogs were overstimulated, and it was just too much for the dogs.
Yeah.
There are lies about how many people were there. You know, I don't Nicky and I were talking earlier. I don't understand the reason for the lies.
Yeah.
How do you feel about you said you lost friends over it, Kitty, right? I was interested in that. We never got to quite get onto. So you said you lost friends that you've had for 30 years. Can you go into more detail of
these
on?
Are very, very left. And over the years, we've always been really, really good friends. And over the years, they've gone more and more left. And I've never, ever once, you know, pulled them up about their views, because some of them are quite ridiculous. When the Queen died, one of them was going on about, oh, why have we got to spend all this money to bury the Queen and this, that and the other. Yeah, on the other hand, she was also doing tea for people. She was catering, doing English tea while you watch the funeral. So she'll do you a whole package. And I was like, well, there are those that are benefiting from it. You know, it's going to be something that's going to make the country money as well. A lot of people are going to come to the funeral, and it will increase, you know, all the businesses and so on. And she went quiet on me then, and she had no argument. But this one, there's not been an argument, and they've not directly said it to me, but they've said it to other people that have then come to me and said, is this true? That you went and, you know, you're a racist and you're this and you're that. And my argument is, you've known me 40 years. Have I ever said anything that is racist? And they've said, well,
why, Kitty? Because when we talk about this left, yeah, am I right in saying there is an emotional outburst associated with some of these people from the left? Because I will tell you now, I've fallen out with a long-term friend because I didn't want to get an injection for the coronavirus.
Well, I didn't have it, and I've been vilified for that. I said,
I'm a nice person, Kitty, like yourself, right? Yeah, we don't know each other that well, but blimey, I look forward to having a chat with you. A very pleasant person. I'm not going to judge you on whether you've had a freaking injection or not.
Yeah, well, that's your preference.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, does it?
That's what you believe.
Why on that side is what I'm asking. Is I had no problem with that person getting their injection. it didn't mean nothing to me at all. Fine, if you want to do it. I just didn't want it. I've got asthma. I was scared about stuff. I didn't want to go in and all that. But I'm a villain now because he don't want to talk to me and shit, all because I didn't get an injection.
But that seems to be just lately, and Butty and I have always said this. Radicalization isn't just about being a Muslim. It's that you can be radicalized on either side of these.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes it was due to a lot of the coronavirus and COVID and stuff like that, guys. A lot of that was down to scaremongering. And unfortunately, people did die. Like, people did die, and we were getting told all these deaths. People were told that, if you don't get the vaccination, you could be spreading it and transmitting it. We were lied to and told that the getting the jab would stop it from spreading the virus, which was a lie, which turned out to be a big fib. So a lot of that was down to scaremongering. So imagine if you're told, look, these ignorant people over there, they don't want to take the virus, they don't want to take the vaccination, and they're spreading it, they could kill your grandma. And imagine someone's grandma had died. That's probably where a lot of that came from. Like, a lot of people backtracked on it because, we found out it was serious. It was a serious cold. It was a serious infection that it could give you, just like COVID and stuff. But if you were fit and healthy, you would probably be able to fight it off, just like most people can with a normal flu, sort of,
I've had it a few times because I felt it, mate. I've woken up a couple of times. My taste has gone funny one or 2 days, right?
Mental.
And I've been fine. And I didn't get no thing. But I'm a villain. Vic Kitty. Yeah, Big Kitty, I've known this guy for a long time, right? You know what I mean?
I totally get that, because this girl that has done that's been saying the stuff about me, I've known her so many years, and I've been.
It hurts, doesn't it? It bloody hurts, man. It's your friends, man.
And the thing is, I have never ever said I don't agree with what you believe in.
Yeah, that's right.
I talked to her and I said, well, it's one of them, innit? You believe that, I believe this. It's just what it is. But to get so personal, and I've noticed that with the left, when they've got no argument, they go personal.
Yeah.
And today, they were talking about the litter in London, and I said, well, what about the carnival? Was there no litter with the carnival? And they went, well, that wasn't a march for hate. Okay, what about the pro-Palestine march? Was there no litter in that? You look like Pete Burns, or are you transgender? And that was their argument. That was what I got.
Yeah. I think it's because there's a little, like we were saying, people have invested interest and stuff, and this is why Nikki was saying to me, Nikki said to me, why do you keep justifying why you went? And I said to him, one of the main reasons why I have to justify why I went is because I wasn't there to be part of what some people were doing. Like, there was a lot of negative stuff there. There was a lot of anti-Islamophobia. There was a lot of Islamophobia. Yeah. I don't want to be associated with that. That was there. I can't lie about it. That was there. And, that's one of the main reasons why you have to make it very clear why you went. I'm not a yes man, like I said to Nikki earlier. I'm not there. No, it was not. Okay, I don't know what that. I don't. Hey, if you're gonna say no, if you're gonna comment, buddy, start with the actual thing you're talking about. I might have missed that, but yeah. But yeah, I felt it was very important to sort of get that out there. It definitely wasn't a hate march. Like I said to you, a lot of it was young men, very young, I saw a lot of young men out there looking to make a point. A lot of football guys out there, you could quite clearly tell as well that had been drinking, and they remained respectful. Like I said to you guys, hey, Rosie. I walked through, no word of a lie, guys. I was walking for about 2 minutes because I walked back on my own. Kitty stayed there longer. I had to go and I had other stuff to do, so I had to leave it free. I walked through a crowd, and this crowd just went on for ages. And I never heard one bad comment. Imagine I'm probably one of the black people there. I'm walking through droves of all these people with flags and stuff like that. And what was I getting the whole way through? I didn't get one bad comment. Sorry, mate. Excuse me, mate. Yes, mate. Thanks, bud. No problem, mate. I got a lot of respect walking through. And I'm telling you, I walked for free. When you go for carnival and you get stuck in that traffic and you're just there, you can't move. I was walking. I have to literally, excuse me, mate. I'm literally breaking up parties to get through them, So it was. I didn't if it was a hardcore hate rally, trust me, I would have had one bad comment. I would have had someone slap me around the back of the head, like, you know. I would have had something, like, you know, something.
Who do you think you are? And you
Yeah.
know, you know, when we were walking, and I said this yesterday, there
A
was
lot of old folks.
yeah, there was so much gratitude that you'd had the balls to actually turn up. I think.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, there was people saying that, and I think you said it as well. On the day, they were saying, if you are an ethnic minority, stay away from the capital today. Please stay away. It's dangerous. And I think so many people were just so grateful for people of the minority to be there.
You see, I think they would say something like that, Kitty, because in the same way that they would be embarrassed about revealing that there was 1 million people there, they would be very embarrassed if a load of more black British or mixed British or whatever had turned up. Let's try and keep them away. Let's try whatever we can do to not encourage, because if we see all these brown faces and mixed faces and Chinese, whatever, in and amongst, well, that's Britain, isn't it?
We can't call them racist. We can't call everyone racist. We can't label them all racist.
It's ridiculous. When I've looked at Tommy Robinson's stuff before, can I just make it clear to people? I don't know much about all this politics, and I don't know what's going on. I didn't go to the march or nothing, but on the internet, I've seen some of his stuff, and I have seen people of colour, which is the correct way of putting it now. You can't say black anymore and white anymore, can you?
You can say black
People
if
of
you want to.
People of colour, have been on his stuff because I've seen it, and I've seen them being interviewed and stuff, talking about how they feel as British people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and loads of black guys, loads of young black boys go in there and they were doing interviews. They like a lot of them made real big names for themselves.
Bro, I've seen Indians and Sikhs on those marches. I have seen Indians and Sikhs on those marches.
On the day, I would say it was 90% white, but there was about
that's what he said.
About 10% of different races there. It was nice to see. The only bad situation, and it was me that got it, was a guy that went, "Oh, there's a rally tomorrow. Do you want to come?" Obviously, he was asking me out on a date, and I was like, "Oh no, mate." And I said, "What is it?" And he went, "It's EDL." And I went, "Oh no, I'm good, thanks." I went, "They don't like me." And he went, "Why?" And I went, "Because I'm half Chinese." And he literally turned on his heel and walked off. And that was it. That was the worst. He didn't slag me off or say anything rude. He just literally turned on his heel.
Yeah, but then, you know, he's a sort of guy going, down to Chinese, right? I'll have chow mein, I'll have chicken chow mein, I'll have 2 spring rolls, mate. I'll have sweet and sour chicken balls.
He probably saw your dress and probably stereotyped you. Like a lot of people at the events would have been stereotyped. Like I said to Nikki, like if he would have saw the guy that I saw with a tattoo on his face, he would have thought, "Get ready to rock, mate." And then the guy is walking hand in hand with a black woman, like, you know, so a lot of prejudging.
A very beautiful black woman, I might add. She was absolutely gorgeous.
Everyone loves a Chinese indeed. Someone's putting there.
Dodgy Chinese, that's when you got the problem.
And a curry as well.
But that was another thing as well that the left are going on. Oh, you was all eating your onion barges afterwards, weren't you? And you was all going for a Chinese. You're all against immigration. Nobody is against immigration. This is what... Maybe there are some that are against.
There are some that, like, literally just the thing. That place, even though it was a uniting of people and getting together, there were so many people there that were there for different agendas. Like, there had so many different agendas, and where the government has failed so badly, people they've not got many options when it comes to voting. It's either, you know, Conservative, Labour, or Reform. There's not many options, and it's very obvious to see that, you know, these politicians ain't in charge of nothing. You know, they're puppets. It's very obvious. It's making people just go to one side, even though the exact same other side, at some point, if they try to do anything, you know, there'll be people that slap them on the wrist and say, "No, you're not allowed to do it. You do what they say up there." Like, you know, that is the truth of it. You know, Putin said when Trump was trying to get in power, Putin said he was listening to Trump saying all these things. He's going to change this. He's going to do that. He's going to do this when he gets in power. And then when it came to the meetings, it was the same men in suits that were at the meetings. So it's like it's all a stage. It's all a stage. Like, you know, it's like we're all performing. Like, and these politicians are just performing as well. They don't care what the normal people think. It's all about what the interest up there say, and this is what we have to be careful. And this is why I wish we had a proper strong leader, like a Putin kind of leader that would slap these billions, give the no one is going to pull Putin into a room and try and make him feel like he's going to do what they say. I've seen that guy deal with billionaires in an interview where he makes the guy says, "Come over here, sign this paperwork." And he makes the guy sign it, and the guy walks off with his pen. He says, "Come here, bring back my pen." He's talking to a billionaire. Like, you wouldn't see that from anyone else. Maybe Trump or, the Chinese guy, the Chinese president.
In this country, I think if you can get yourself onto the front page of the Sun newspaper, and I'm using that as a loose example because, you've won the politics, with the right message and the right headline on the Sun paper. You get these guys driving past in the white van. "Oh, have you seen this, have you? Have you seen what's going on?"
Yeah.
You've won. That's the level of intelligence we're dealing with here.
This problem, and it's not even one side. Both sides, sorry, are a bit thin.
Any side, yeah. Doesn't matter what side.
Yeah, that's not right either. That's not right either. I weren't happy about someone's just talking about Elon Musk saying that everyone must fight and all that sort of stuff.
No.
Like, one of the richest men in the world. Like, of course his interests evolve around the common folks. Like, I think people need to raise an eyebrow when rich people start telling people what to do and stuff like that. That man is so rich, he could probably change. He could probably change God knows what. Like, if with that money that he's got, like, what's he going to do with all that money? I know he's on about going to Mars and all the rest of it, but for me, with that sort of money, what could you do? That guy could probably end world hunger if he wanted to. Like, in some ways, with his brains as well, and his technology and his money and resources, he could probably do a lot of things. He's telling poor people to fight.
Brod, how do you feel that him turning up at that speech, what was the significance of that? Because he was probably the biggest face. I didn't have a clue that he was going to appear in that thing at all. And then when I saw it on the news, I was like, wow, Elon Musk is there doing a speech. Bloody hell. What do you think the significance is, Kitty and Brod? I'll ask both of you, really.
I wasn't pleased he was there. I don't like him. I don't trust him. So I didn't want him there. I don't like. I'm with Brudsy on this. A millionaire telling us to pick up.
Not a millionaire, a billionaire, like the richest man in the world. Let's just say, other than Putin, the richest man in the world.
Prince William that said, I'm not bothered. I don't want to go to Mars. Let's fix what we have here.
Is that a 4? I'm 42, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kitty, go. I'm just thinking.
Let's fix this planet before we start going to other planets. And right
For
now,
sure. That
falling to pieces because of the people and because of the pollution and this and the other. So it's all right going, well, it's all right, we're going to go to Mars and live on Mars instead, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to move us all to Mars. But let's fix what we've got here. And we said this yesterday about the whole country. Let's stop getting involved in other people's business and other people's drama and rebuild this country. Rebuild. Because right now, we're on our arse, and that's the only way to describe it. We are on our arse, and we need. But for me, Elon Musk didn't need to be there. He didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
That has heightened the whole viewership or whatever you want to call it. Like, he's a massive name. I was very surprised to see someone that big there speaking like that. I was like, wow, man.
Well, it's not surprising because he wants to, he wants to get rightly so. There've been a lot of videos of English people calling out people like with the Israeli flag, calling out people coming from other countries there, because the whole thing was it's uniting England being this island that needs to get rebuilt, everyone coming together, and then you got people with sort of foreign it's like it almost became political, it became political, like people's interest, and most of it bombs, like the hacker thing. Literally, I'm telling you, everyone was like, everyone was laughing, everyone was just laughing, what the hell is this? And I don't know if you heard it, Kitty, when the black lady was singing, there was 1 or 2 comments, people saying, oh, we don't want any of that. I don't know if you heard that, but no. I heard that. But like I said, there's always going to be some bad. There's always going to be a bad apple in a bunch. But most of it was old people, and they were almost embarrassed. Like I was saying to you earlier, Nikki, they were always embarrassed, like when they were looking at me, and they were like, "Oh, we're so glad you're here," and it was like, yeah.
There
It's
was
crazy.
attitude. Elon Musk didn't need to be there. The New Zealand guy that turned up with the hacker, that didn't need to be there either. I have actually thought about messaging Tommy and saying he didn't need to be there. By the way, that was ridiculous. I felt quite embarrassed to be there to watch that, because I love the hacker, and I was saying this to Budsy on the day. I was like, I love the hacker. It gets me going. And then I watched that, and I was like, oh, that's.
You know what's a shame, Brad? We can't see these comments coming in, so we can't react with the people that are commenting. It's a shame. I like talking to people, especially people who have come to listen to the show and stuff. And if anyone's watching this right now, please feel free to ask us any questions about anything. We'll answer your questions and we'll discuss them wholeheartedly. Don't feel bad. We're not going to have a go at you. You know, if you've got an opinion that differs from us, don't worry about it. Us three disagree all the time on things behind closed doors. We just chat as friends. Anyone out there who's listening right now, get involved, man. Talk to this man. Talk to us. We don't care. Have a chat with us, because everyone wants to talk, Kitty, don't they? Everyone wants to talk about it, man.
Something to say, and we want to hear it.
That's right.
If you want to join, go to Brudsy Entertainment, like it says on the screen. Brudsy Entertainment. I'm live now on YouTube, and I will post a link in there, guys. 1 second. I'll post a link. There's a link in the chat, and you're able to sort of come directly into the thing if you want to. So Brudsy Entertainment, and there's a shared link in there that will bring you in as a guest. It will bring you in with your camera as well, guys. So if you do have any questions and you do want to come in, there's a lovely box space for your hair.
Oh yeah, I can see it now.
And I'll bring you in.
Oh no, that's only yours.
What can you see? Can you actually see the screen?
Well, it's sometimes on the left hand side you actually get the comments from the people live, and it's nice because we can react to them, and people really like that.
Yes.
But we can't see that today.
Yeah. No,
sorry, go on. I was just going to say that we would encourage people to give us another opinion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you get the engagement going.
Do we agree? Quick question, guys. Do we agree with them ripping up the Palestinian flag and saying things about Muslims? Absolutely not, guys. And that's one of the main things I've said, guys. I don't agree with, like, you know, if you're there for England, you're there to support England and all the rest of it, which you know, which they say, it shouldn't be about any other country.
No, there was no need for it. Okay. I can remember turning to Brudsy when it happened and went, "Oh, there's no need for this." And then I can remember saying, "There's just no need for this."
Sorry, what was he talking about there, Brad? What can you just go over that again, just so we can get clear?
Yeah, so on the main stage, Nikki, they had these New Zealand guys, people from New Zealand up there, and they were ripping up other countries' flags, New Zealand, Palestine flags. I can't remember what other flags they were doing, but there was a lot of Islamophobia. There was a lot of Islamophobia. They were saying, you know, we don't want this, we don't want that. And one of the main, like, you know, I wanted to say, like, you know, one of the main reasons that I did say yesterday, one of the main reasons Islam is growing so fast is that because people don't, there's like no one goes to church. No, there's no Christian, like, you know, people to say it's a Christian country. Are we demonstrating Christian values? Like, you know, are we following it? Are we following the Bible? Do people even read the Bible? And I'd have to say no. Like, you know, people don't read the Bible. So what I'll
say to that person's comment about the flags. Can you just read the comment one more time, Brad, so I can get clear on what that comment was about the flags?
It was just that, what do you think about people ripping up the Palestinian flags?
Well, what do they think about people burning British flags? That's a question I've got back for the person who asked that question. I want to ask them a question back. To whoever ask that question, what do you think about people ripping up British flags? And also, I want to ask them, what do you think about them flying a Ukraine flag in my town? And also, what would happen to me if I walked in town with an English flag today? Would it be ripped off me? You know,
is that the vibe in your area? If you was to walk around with an England flag, do you think you'd have any issues?
I don't know if it's the vibe in the area, but it seems to be the vibe generally. I suppose you could call it the internet vibe. I don't think there would be any problems walking around with a Palestine flag, or people would be scared to tell you to bring it down. And I think that if you did the same with an English flag, I think people would be probably more inclined to tell you to not fly a British flag.
This is because, and we know why, that years and years ago, the British flag, the St. George Cross, was hijacked politically by the EDL. And people are now scared of it. What they're not seeing is the fact that we've took it back.
That's it. And that's what I think. That's the bet that would annoy people more than anything. Seeing black and white people standing in solidarity together with the English flag, embracing the English flag. That will piss the racists off, you know. Because even I was getting it from everywhere. Like, you know, black people calling me a coconut for going. White people were telling me I'm not English. Like, you know, I had it all from everyone. Like, you know, but when they see, that is the problem. Nikki, we spoke about earlier. You know, when you think of a racist back in the old days, it used to be a skinhead with the jacket with the England flag on. That's what's on there. But, you know, we have to take back the flag from the racists, like, you know, and it's all about perception, like, you know, because if people's idea of a racist is probably a skinhead guy with an England flag in his hand, like, you know, that's probably we talk about stereotypes, like, you know, if I was to say to you, describe me a racist, how would you describe, what would you expect him to look like?
Combo from This Is England.
I mean, on the 23rd of April, it's St George's Day, and I used to celebrate it because I was brought up to be proud of where I'm from, which is born in England. So I used to get some freaking fish and chips, ram them down my throat, drowned in salt and vinegar, tip the freaking rest in my mouth, all the chips gone, and then you look around and no one's celebrating.
Well,
On March the 17th, everyone's got their face green. I've got nothing wrong with that because I like the Irish as well, right? But I'm just saying, Kitty, when I went round on the internet and Brod as well, saying Happy St George's Day, I got treated like a freaking leper.
I've told this story many, many times.
Why?
I'll tell it again. My dad was one of the people that was instrumental in Nottingham of starting the St George Day Parade. And on the 23rd, no matter what day it is, there is a parade through Nottingham and has been for 20 years. We now have on our council house the biggest St George flag in the country that flies for the 23rd of April. It is for 20 years now. It's got bigger and bigger, and I think there was 20,000 at the last one. The only time we had problems was obviously during COVID and lockdown. I am so proud of the fact that happened here, and it happens here every year. This is one of the reasons I wanted to go on Saturday. One of the big things that my dad and his friends used to have to say before they went out: it doesn't matter who's going to aggravate you. It doesn't matter who's going to poke you. It doesn't matter. You've got to walk away, and you've just got to keep walking, because if you don't, it will spoil it for everybody. And I was so proud when I spoke to so many people on Saturday to hear them say, no, Tommy said we can't have trouble.
Yeah.
Listening.
That was good. That was good. That was very good. I really enjoyed that, and that definitely helped Tommy's cause. But the fact that you have to warn people in advance not to come in with masks and not to be violent is an alarm bell. Like, you're either polite or you're either a polite human being or you're not. And that was something that it was brilliant that Tommy done that. But like I did say, like, you know, no one has to tell me if I go to a party to behave myself, because I behave myself.
Yeah, that's
anyway.
you, Brod. Yeah, but then if you look at the people of Egypt when they overturned their own country, there was millions that went to overturn their country in Egypt. You cannot tell me all million of those people are violent people. If you push people too far, they're going to go. Therefore, I think he's quite responsible by turning around and saying to people, hey, come on, right? Because people are freaking angry, Brod. They're angry.
There was going to be aggravation. We knew there was going to be
aggravation. Right?
I mean, Nikki.
See this, yeah?
Hey.
Right? I don't know if you can see that properly, but this is my favourite jumper, okay? It says England, and it's got 3 lions on it. It's my favourite jumper. Does anybody have a problem with my favourite jumper? When England play football, I always wear this jumper, and I always ram fish and chips down my throat. Has anyone out there got a problem with that? Am I allowed to do that? Am I allowed to be proud of my country?
Sorry, Nikki. Someone said, who are they angry at?
Who's who angry at?
You said people are very angry and they're lashing out and stuff, and people want to know who's angry. And I would say that, we spoke about it earlier. If you're doing well in life, you're living your best life, you've got the house, you've got the kids, you've got the car, you've got the perfect life, you've got the perfect job. You may be angry also about certain stuff going on in the country, for sure. but you ain't going to be out burning stuff or knocking people's windows in. So the people that ultimately going to be the ones that commit the violence, they're going to be the sheep that get led by someone down a bad path, and the ones with not much to lose, the ones that feeling like maybe they can't find a job, they can't find a wife, they can't find a girlfriend. They're going to be angry people that go out and do that, and ultimately people that commit crimes are going to be criminals. Criminals that go to that's who commits the crimes. So
My answer would be to that. What was the question again? Who are they angry? So,
yeah,
can
you said people, because you said that people
Yeah.
are angry, and that's
Okay,
why
well, what
they've
I
had
would say
enough.
to that person who's asked me that question is that I'm not going to pretend I know the answer. I'm only going to go off what I saw on the TV coming out of people's mouths. And what the vast majority of people said on the TV when I listened to them and words came out of their mouth was freedom of speech is stressing me out. So the answer from me via the people that were angry would be freedom of speech, which was what the vast majority of people said. I didn't go to the rally, I didn't go to the walk, but when I watched it on the news, the freedom of speech came up a lot. That would be my answer to that person. That's what everybody seemed angry about. And it's not just on the march that people are angry about that. It's generally people seem to be angry about that, because I think people feel like their freedom of speech has been taken away, especially when people keep getting arrested for stuff when they're not articulate enough to voice something in a certain way and they voice it incorrectly and it comes out completely wrong, and that could be education or whatever, and then they get locked up in prison for 2 years. I think people are just angry and scared because they don't know how to deal with it.
We had this yesterday. I was trying to get a point across, and when you sometimes when you know what you want to say because it's in your head, how, but when it came out of my mouth, it just came out totally wrong. And sometimes it's about the execution of what you're trying to say. It comes out completely wrong, and it sounds terrible, but you know that it's not. Does that make sense? And like you say, it's learning to articulate. It's learning to say it correctly.
Yeah.
So that it cannot be misconstrued.
Yeah. Sorry, Kate, go.
Really hard thing to do, because Brutti and I were talking about it yesterday. There are people that go to college and universities to actually learn to debate. Like you said, Charlie Kirk was an absolute master at it. He could get his point across without getting angry or whatever. And then there's somebody like myself who's sort of left with a couple of GCSEs trying to get a point across. And sometimes it just gets misconstrued. And then when you try and say it, they just throw at you that you're a racist.
Yeah, that's lazy. That is really lazy when people do that. Don't get me wrong. Like I said to you, the racism in England is spineless racism, because people won't ever say what they really think. They'll just say that they can't say what they want to say. Like, unfortunately, that's what it is. Like, unless you're an absolute, I don't want to be horrible. Unless you've got nothing to lose, basically a job, career, anything like that, you can't go on TV and say what you want to say. Like, no one can do that. No one can really give their honest opinion about stuff. Like, even if you talk about the trans thing, if you say the wrong thing about the trans thing and you're in employment, you're done. You're out straight away. So there's that side of it. But I don't know what the answer is to that is. But, someone's put here, they want freedom of speech to spew hate, and I've seen a lot of people, like, James Corden. What's his name? Is it James Corden? Not James Corden. What's his fucking name? James O'Brien, sorry. He literally rips people apart on LBC all the time. They come on and they say, I can't say what I want to say. And he's like, well, say it then. And then, like, most of the time, they can't articulate what they really want to say, or they're too spineless to admit that unfortunately we do have hardcore racist people in this country that they won't ever tell you what they really think. They'll lie. They'll say I don't like his hat. They'll say I don't like they'll say something else.
So that person, sorry, Kit, but just to clarify on what that person is saying, Brud, right? You're saying that they're saying that freedom of speech from the viewpoint of simply spreading hatred. What I will say to that person is, if everybody had freedom of speech, there would be people from all walks of life that would disagree with your free speech, right? They're going to disagree with some of your free speech, especially if they feel politically on the different side or whatever reason. That people are going to disagree. But how do we handle people disagreeing on free speech? Is it automatically seen as hatred when someone's got a strong view? Should it be automatically seen as hatred because someone's got a strong view? again, before you come on, Kitty, brother and I were just discussing how much we enjoyed disagreeing with one another and just listening to one another. Go, well, actually, Nick, if you take this, we've done that several times. You know, some people just can't handle that. You know, we're going to disagree on things. Do we have to hate each other? Is it hate just
No,
because people disagree?
And if there were, if like for the people that I saw at the rally, and undoubtedly there's going to be people with strong opinions, and I've seen them on the interviews that they've done, like, you know, they have got to a point where they've just chosen to go a certain way. Their mind can be reprogrammed if they're open. And this is what I was so glad to see, that there was some white people there calling out other white people for basic bias, like, you know, but no, some of the people there were literal sheep, and they will follow anyone. Like, that person will say to them, yeah, let's go to some black and brown people's houses and smash some windows in, and they'll go and follow. Like, you know, there's a lot of that, unfortunately, a lot of followers. So we need to try it, and those minds can be changed, but, you know, but they have to be willing to receive the information, like, you know. But a sheep is generally a sheep, and they stay in line, and they'll follow whoever they want, whoever sounds like they're saying the right stuff, unfortunately.
I think as well, a lot of this generation have to learn that having a different opinion from somebody is not hatred. It's just having.
Yes, it's not.
Yeah,
it's having a chat.
So you and I can disagree on something, and that's not me being hatred.
No, not at all.
That's me saying, no, I don't agree. And, you know, when you think of people, like you say, Charlie Kirk, and they go, oh, he was always on about the hate speech. They were his opinions. That was all. Okay, you don't agree with him. Doesn't make it hatred. It's just the way he lived his life. And unfortunately, for this generation, they genuinely think everything is about them. So when Sydney Sweeney had good genes, it was the world telling you that you didn't. No, it was just saying Sydney Sweeney had good genes.
Stop. Billie Jean, he did not hate black people. Don't say that. He did not hate black people. His best friend was probably Candace Owen. Like, you know, unfortunately, guys, you know, if you want to, like, point at people, different races and different things like that, unfortunately, there's a massive problem in America in some of the black cities, unfortunately, and he would openly point that out. And sometimes that's hard truth to hear, that 20 people are going to be killed every other day or shot every other day in certain black communities. That's hard to hear as a black person, to hear that. You don't want to hear it, like, you know, but, you know, he wasn't afraid to point out that certain people were doing certain things in certain cities, which is based on, like, you just have to look at the stats. Like, you know, Donald Trump wants to put the military in those freaking areas to sort of stop the crime. And most of the people on the ground want that to happen because they know there's a problem with crime.
Good point, Brad. Excuse me, Kitty.
Blexit.
No, go on. You go ahead. Go on.
Look at a company called Blexit that is actually in America, and it was founded by because I've checked this all out now, by his company to help with bringing people from those areas away from the gang life and employing them and training them to go on and be better people. That is not a racist. To me, that's not a racist. That's a person that wants you to be better, wants you to come out of those sort of ways, and that's not a racist. That's just a human being.
What I think is missing from this conversation is the link between poverty and crime. Because if you go to Liverpool, where the people are going through poverty, and you compare the crime stats with people where I live in Royal Tunbridge Wells, there's going to be a massive, massive difference. And it's got nothing to do with colour. It's to do with poverty, right? Because poverty makes people do things. And it just so happens that a lot of people, black people, live in these impoverished areas. It's poverty that needs to be addressed, because that's what makes people do things, right? I look at some of these Jamaican people when in Riverton City, you know, Riverton City people, it's like a rubbish tip. People live there. They've got more dignity than me, because if I lived there, you know what I'd be doing? I'd be committing crime for my family to get some money, because I'd be impoverished and I'm hungry. I'm a lion. So I feel these people are a lot more dignified than people like me, because if I was backed up in a corner and I had absolutely nothing, I would put my fingers to the bone, scraping for that money, and I'd do whatever. And I think a lot of people in that situation, I don't want to judge people, but I think a lot of men, especially in that situation, would want to feel like, I ain't going to be backed up here. You're a bread earner, you want to get some money. But I don't think it's to do with colour. I think it's to do with poverty, man.
Yeah, that's obvious. That's obvious. People that are doing well in life, never had to borrow money off their mum, live with their mum and dad, got a lovely big house. They're not gonna start, like, unless it's like a crime of domestic violence or stuff like that. But in terms of, like, petty crime that you see on the streets, stealing purses, they're not gonna be out there stealing purses. Someone's just put, I worry about America interfering with our politics, and that's what I like to hear as well. That's what I like to hear. People with their mind open, not somebody. Did you hear that unsavory fella? He's going viral all over Instagram. He goes, he wants Donald Trump to buy England, and he wants Donald Trump to come here, like, and he kind of says it how you would expect someone like that to say something like that. Like, it was real bad. I want Donald Trump to buy England. Why do you want him to do that? Like, and it was like to the stereotype. Maybe one or two teeth in the mouth, and that's definitely not something that we need. America needs to. America's first priority, and that would solve a lot. You said about being poor, Nikki. In this country, you can be poor, get sick, go to the hospital, and get treated. In America, can you imagine, bro? Your child is sick, crying, in pain, and all the doctors will do is patch them up because they don't have healthcare. They don't have healthcare. That's something totally different. That, for me, if you're obviously, if you find yourself in that situation where you're not able to provide for your family, whatever, the right way, what are you gonna do? If your child is sick and he needs something, you're probably gonna do whatever you need to do to get some money to sort of get your child just to the hospital, like.
Can I just make one more point about the poverty thing, Brud and Kitty, please? Yeah. When I was teaching in schools, I spent 20 years teaching 7 to 18-year-olds confidence through street dance and fitness. That's what my job was before the coronavirus, right? In that time, I worked at schools where children turn up in helicopters. And I taught children exactly the same age that I locked up in prison in a place called Borstal. What do you think the main background was of all the ones that had been locked up in Borstal? Do you think they'd come from these rich areas? No, they hadn't. And what do you think the crimes were that were associated with these kids that were turning up on helicopters? Well, it was things like cocaine addiction at 12, 13, 14, because their pocket money is £1,000 a month. So there was very, very different social problems. But that soon gets swept up once you go into therapy, who happens to be a very good friend of your father's, right? Who happens to be one of the best therapists in the world. And then you can go on to what is considered a failure, which is the manager of a hedge fund on £350,000 a year. That's the failure for these people, right? These kids at Borstal will never, ever, ever dream of it. And the whole thing for me was down to poverty. And it used to really annoy me, actually. And in a way still does. It doesn't seem fair. If you imagine that, you're crazy, isn't it? Both the same age, Kitty, these kids, all the same age.
No, I know, but it's the battle of the classes, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's first world problems and third world problems. Putting food on the table for the children, or going out and having a weekend with the lads.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of selfish. Unfortunately, some people, some mums have become really selfish, where the point where they're just like living their best life, like their kid, they've got the kids, and they're just buggering off, like, and the kids are being like, why are 13-year-olds on the streets on their own? Because their mum's either, if she's not working, she's out doing God knows what with God knows who, while the kids are on the street. Like, for me, when I heard about all these grooming gang things and stuff like that, and I'm thinking to myself, what were 12-year-olds doing out on the streets? Like, what were 12-year-olds doing walking the streets and drinking? Like, Kitty, in Nottingham, isn't there a public road? Actually, there's a famous road or something in Nottingham alone where it's common for young girls to be selling their bodies, I've heard. Like, yeah, it's a popular road where children go to sell their bodies, like, in this country right now. And you'd think to yourself, if I was a police officer, like, if I know this and there's documentaries about it, why aren't they sorting it out? Because unfortunately, they don't give a damn about the people on the ground, the ants on the ground. They care about people that make money and pay good taxes, and they care about that, unfortunately. And it's really sad, because if we wanted to, we could make people's lives a lot easier. Some would say that we've made it too easy, in the sense that some people don't even want to go to work anymore and stuff like that. Some people would say that, like, because other countries, you say, I'm not going to work, and I've got mental health problems, a common one like that or something. They'd probably tell you, on your bike sort of thing. But it's really difficult.
I think there is people of Britain. You've got to get some pride back in yourself. You really, really do. You don't want stop just accepting that this is life.
Yeah.
I drive through an area and you can see them. They're just trudging through life and they don't want to get any better and they don't want to leave that area. You put me in that area and I'm gonna come out clawing and I'm gonna claw my way out of that area because I don't want to be that. And I think there's a lot of I don't really care, you know, like they just don't care. They churn out their children. They live on their benefits. Like you say, then they split up and one goes one way. And he has more children and she has more children, and you just think that that's not a good life.
Yeah.
And then when I made a video once about, you know, training schemes and things like that for people on benefits and go and do some paid work. And they were like, well, why should I do that? Why do you want to be on benefits for the rest of your life? Why? I know it's fabulous. You get free money, but surely you want better for your own life. And is that not a big problem? People just don't want to.
I think it's a lot of it comes down to self-esteem as well, Kitty. Yeah, and I believe what will happen in the future is that there'll be a wage of what people can decide what will be called a stay-at-home wage, and the stay-at-home wage will give you enough money to pay your rent, get 20 Lambert and Butler, Sky TV, and one holiday a year, and your healthcare. And the people like me that the people who want to work will have that choice to go out and actually work. But I think we're going to get to a point where it's going to be cheaper to treat people like that than treat them for mental health problems. You know,
Yeah.
I think if you gave people a lot of people a choice, do you want to stay at home all day and play on your PlayStation and watch TV all night and have enough money to smoke weed and do what you want to do? One holiday a year, 2 takeouts a week, 20 Lambert and Butler. I think there's so many people that would say yes, please. And mental health problems might even disappear overnight. I'd be happy with that, if I'm honest, if that's what they wanted to do. And then people who want to do stuff should be allowed to go out there and work as many hours as they want. But I don't blame people for not wanting to work because, you look at some of the jobs they do, Kitty, as well. Say if you worked in, I don't want to be too disrespectful, but let's just say you worked in somewhere like a sausage factory that's in town there. You can smell it on a bad day. Like, are you going to have a 40-year? It's not the same where people want a 40-year career in a sausage factory. And I think back in the day, you could have actually run a family on that. Yeah. You could have actually run a family on. Yeah, but now you ain't going to run a family like that, are you?
Yeah. So you think, because a lot of people have got no sympathy for people that like with that sort of attitude that say, I prefer not to work rather than do some crap jobs.
It's up to them, though, isn't it?
That is up to them. But sometimes people will also say and stuff like that. Our tax money is going to a whole bunch of people that are deciding that they're too good to do a certain type of job, and that's something that's a very big argument, and people have got no sympathy for it at the minute. But there's an argument here. I think they're talking about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk said, I think he made a statement saying that he would worry if he found out his pilot was black. And there's a counter argument to it as well. I believe the full story is, and I think the reason why he said that was because obviously a lot's been said about DEI at the minute, and that's the system in America where it's diversity, inclusion, or something like that in jobs and stuff. If people actually do a little bit of research, black people are at the bottom of that list in terms of getting priorities for it. They're at the bottom of the list. The people at the top of the priority list are trans people, all sorts of they, thems, those kind of people. Black people are at the bottom of the list. So what I'm sure, when we heard about those planes coming down in America, there's a few planes come down, and straight away people jumped on DEI. And people were talking about black people, but everyone knew it was a trans pilot, but but when people say DEI, they assume that it's black people getting preference over jobs. Black people are at the bottom of that list in America, guys. We think we got problems in this country with racism. America's got a whole bunch of problems. Let them just keep it to themselves, and we'll just stay here and make this magical country even better than it is already.
I think that is the only answer. I think you and I have talked about it so many times. I think we've got to stop making this country so inviting to people, so that we are the golden goose to some people. Their eyes, oh yeah, get me to England, get me to Britain. They've got the benefit system, we've got the healthcare, we've got the schools, we get a house, we get this. Stop making it so inviting. And I also think that, you know, you come to this country. What other country can you go to where you don't have to show your passport? Have you ever left the country and not showed your passport? Have you ever
No.
entered the country without your passport? But apparently you can here. And then when you walk in, we'll give you a phone, we'll give you, I mean, this is what I'm hearing. I can't swear to it. We'll give you a phone, we'll take you to a hotel, we'll give you 3 meals a day.
Let me talk to Ethan from Southampton till I die. Hello, good afternoon, Ethan. You're speaking to Nikki New right now. Your comment says, unfortunately, the world has racism all around it. The most racist place I went to was Jamaica, right? They treated me like a king, apparently because I'm brown, okay? And I wasn't black. But in Mauritius, where my family's from, I am very black, but my brother's brown. And he got all the nicey. And when he come to Jamaica, who's slightly more brown than me, as in lighter, that's what black people call, what you may call mixed race guys, yeah? You should have seen the gallem all over him. Oh, look at his lovely skin. Look at it. It was one of the most racist. My friend said to me, he said, Nick, he said, unfortunately, when you come here, I think I told you this before, Brad, he said, we're going to get pulled over all the time by the Jamaican police. I said, no, we're not. He said, why on earth are you going to? He said, because I'm black. He said, look at me, I'm black. And I said, what's that got to do with it? He said, out here, because I look ghetto and his teeth's gone and all that sort of stuff, Kitty, right? And he said, because I look ghetto, we're going to get pulled over. He was right. And they were saying things to me out there like, I can't speak the language, but I could sort of hear they were saying, what are you doing with him?
You lot can't see that, can you? I've tried to put the TikTok chat on the screen. It's too small, isn't it?
Yeah, it's too
Right, Brad, you just put it there for the people because they can see it on their screens. But, you know, they were trying to say to me, Kitty, like, what are you doing with him? My answer was, we went to the same university. I studied with him. We played in the first team football at university together. He was a defender. I was a striker. And we became very good friends. And he used to come to my house. And now he's invited me to his country. Right? That's why I had to explain to the police because I look like a bit of a local. If you know the Jamaicans, they've got loads of people that actually look like me as well. It was weird. Like a couple of times I was looking at people going, look at this guy over here. He looks like me, doesn't he? Blimey, lucky devil. No, I'm joking. But no, do you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, though, people? I found that a very racist place. Right? So I'm just saying to the Southampton till I die there, he's absolutely right. It's in Mauritius, it's in Jamaica, it's in America, it's in England. It's all over the freaking show, man. Classist, racist divisions.
Honestly, I would prefer to be in England and than any other country on the planet. To be honest with you, any other country on the planet, England. Like to be honest with you, like obviously retiring. Obviously, there's certain like this is the sad thing. Like people with money can go and live in their own paradise. If you go and live in a lovely area, it doesn't matter if they're going to be black, brown people, whatever it is, they're going to be people of a certain class, and that's where everyone is at the minute. Trust me, there are white people that wouldn't want to live next door to certain people, especially chavvy people. They would despise it. That's why even in this country, in terms of they're putting flags up in certain areas, in well-to-do areas, like where there's a lot of well-to-do they don't like it because they see it as chavvy. Like unfortunately, they see it as really
embarrassing.
Really
it's embarrassing, yeah.
Yeah, they see
it's
it
class.
as
It's classless. There's no class in it.
That's
at all.
it. That's where it comes down to a lot of it. And a lot of the people pulling flags down are white people pulling flags down. Like in this country, like is that
there on Saturday? Were there was none of the snooty, the upper echelon. There was none of those. It was all.
I would say there was a mixture because I think some of them older people were. The older ones, I would say, they were definitely like of a better class than the younger ones. I would say.
Was there no Katie Hopkins there, like Katie Hopkins type people there?
Katie was there.
Katie was there.
No, but I'm just saying, wasn't there loads of Katie Hopkins style, quite posh people in and amongst the crowd, or not?
I didn't really see them. I was talking to quite a few people, and the older generation possibly, and we were talking older than me. They were a little bit more.
You won't get classy. I'm not being classist here, but you're probably unlikely to. I can't imagine loads of people from Lamberhurst round here that live in £2 million houses going up to the march on Saturday. I'm sorry, but I can't.
What I'm saying is there wasn't like barristers and
no. And Kitty, also, if you live out in the sticks where these people live in these nice houses, does it affect you?
No.
Nope. And they don't care. They don't. That's the thing. Although they may have feelings about it.
Yeah.
Most if you've got your stuff together, like I said to you, all these the most anti whatever person ever, you give that person £1 million and a big house. Let's see if he goes to any more rallies. Like let's see if he's going to any more rallies. Like that's quite a sad thing because it's like if you don't have your shit together, you're more likely to go out and burn something down,
Yeah.
and create some sort of anarchy out there.
Yeah, then some might say that you've got the time to do it if you haven't got your shit together. Do you get what I mean? It's like you've got more time, whereas maybe a barrister is working sort of 60, 70, 80 hours a week, and he's too busy making his money and whatever. There's always going to be that argument. I think for me it was more middle class and lower class that were there, and I put myself in there possibly.
I would say there was a decent mix, but if you said there, Kitty, that no, there won't be any well-to-do like politicians and stuff there, they made a big mistake. They made a real big mistake. That was a massive opportunity to go down there and speak to the people, because a lot of these people, I crap you not, their minds are ready to be changed if they hear the right thing.
Yeah.
I'm at, maybe it's education level low. It's not. And even if it is, guys, even if it is an educational level, and sometimes it's not necessarily educational, because when you think of smart people, I know loads of smart people with loads of smart grades and with loads of A's and B's, but they wouldn't be able to have a conversation and talk about certain stuff. Like, it's not everyone's able to articulate themselves, and you can't label everyone. You can't stamp on them like, Kitty, that video I showed you earlier of that woman mocking the typical reform voter and all the rest of it. There's a perception out there. Nikki, I showed it to you as well. You can't do that, because then that sort of just where do those people go if they're not heard and they're not listened to? Where do they go? They end up just going over to the most extreme party you can find, like someone that will take them in, and then they'll just become sheep for them. So you have to include everyone and try and speak to everyone, and it might take a little bit longer to speak to someone. And even people speaking, like if you're not the best speaker, even if it takes you 5 minutes to make one point properly, still speak, because you will be able to you will get it out eventually, I would say.
Yeah, I do believe though we do need someone for the people. That's we've said this how many times. Not somebody that is there to line their own pockets, but then once you get politics,
that's it. You get there. Someone says to you, "Oi, mate, guess what? There's this new thing. If you just put this bill in, I'll give you £1 million, and I'll put it in your mum's name." That's it. You're gone.
Yeah,
you're gone.
And you stop them, because then every time you say no to something, they go, "But can you remember that time I gave you that £1 million for such and such?" Because I've still got the paper trail to that. So you're screwed then. So the moment you take that first handout, that first backhander, that's the moment you are screwed. Like you say, we need somebody that is literally, "No, I don't want your money."
Yeah, not everyone's
What
going to.
do you think the chances are of
you.
that then? What's the chances of that, Kitty, when it's never happened in history?
Never.
Right? And I'll tell you something, yeah. If us three was in a prime minister, yeah, and a load of money come in, and do you know what, Brad and Kitty? Yeah, if I just sign this bit of paper, and if I just do that, I can fling you 50 grand. I can fling me 50. I can put 75 over there. We'll put another 25 there. You don't say anything about that, right? Money, the love of money is the root of all evil.
Yeah, totally.
The love of money.
Yeah. Some are saying even saying now, but even Tommy,
he's getting paid, isn't he? Yeah,
we're getting that over here. Tommy Robinson's a Zionist, and even that Zavi, that Zavi guy, he's having an argument with two fellas that are calling him out for being Israeli and being at the march, because they're saying to him, "It's not about you guys. We don't want you here." And he says to them, "Tommy Robinson's a Zionist as well. Why are you at this rally?" He basically said to them, "Why are you coming to this rally for?" Because Tommy Robinson supports Israel, and stuff like that. And I'm glad that people were there and they're openly calling out, basic things, it was meant to be about England and United England, and there shouldn't have been any other foreign country interest involved in it. And I feel like most people feel exactly the same. We need to get our own crap together. We need to stay away from other countries' wars. Unless anyone threatens us, we've got our nukes. We're ready. We're ready to go. I think we should. Yeah, we need to pull out. And Prince William, when he gets, I would say Harry. Actually, that'll wind a lot of people up. But William, when his dad finally pops his clogs, not wishing it on him or anything like that, guys. I think William should step up and say, right, I'm going to be in charge of this country, boot out Parliament, and deal with it properly. Other than just bit.
which one was it, Brods, that started going on about King Charles? And I turned around to you and went, I don't want to hear this.
That was the New Zealand guy. The New Zealand guy was openly talking about treason.
Oh God, we're going to end up in the tower. We're going to end up in the tower, because he was literally calling out King Charles, and I was like, oh my God, this is traitorous. No. But these were the same guys that were ripping up the flags,
Yep.
and I said there was chants about Allah. I didn't want to get involved with that.
Yeah.
There were chants about Palestine. I didn't want to get involved with that. I wasn't there to get involved in other people's drama. I don't care about that. What I care about are there are people in this country that need help, and we're not helping them. And
Yeah, and we need to help them, because ultimately, like, unfortunately, it's become a dog eat dog world where a lot of people are left on the ground, and like, you know, we're good in the sense that we'll give healthcare, we'll give stuff like that, but people need a little bit more help. People can't be selfish though. You can't get more help and then start spending money on cigarettes and alcohol and stuff like that. Like, you know, you can't be doing that. I think we definitely need to help people, but you know, we've literally become a dog eat dog world. I'm doing for me, and you know, and what I don't know what the answer is.
I think there is that self-preservation. I'm all right, Jack, and that is a very selfish way to look at life. I could never walk past a person, and if I had like £10 in my hand that I didn't need, and there was a person on the floor that needed the £10, I'd slip the £10. I couldn't do it. I couldn't walk away from somebody like that. But does that make me soft? Is that why I'm not living in a big penthouse? And
unfortunately, sometimes, yeah, it's because that goes to your sort of mentality and your personality and your sort of your mindset. Like my mum is classic for that. My mum would bloody give someone her last £10, but then she would go without. Like, she would literally go without. Like, my mum, that's the kind of person my mum was. And like, you know, rich people get rich by being stubborn. You know, they don't even.
Biggest donators of money are the middle classes. There's many studies that have been done on that. The people who can't afford to give don't give. The people who've got a tenner left in their pocket, the middle classes, or whatever you want to call it, those people right in the middle with just a little bit, they're quite happy to go, here's my last tenner. But you see all these rich ones. You see, I've got friends round here, mate, that own 50 properties round here. We go in town, they're parking their car. Do you know what they say? It's gone up 25p. I am fuming. And you see them getting on the phone to the council going, hey, I'm trying to park my car here. It's gone up 25p. And I'm talking about millionaires here.
yeah, that's how they stay
That's what I'm
millionaires.
saying, Kitty. They ain't giving no tenner to some fella on the street like you. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, by the way.
Is that to my detriment? That is the way I am.
Well, some people may see it like that. It's a beautiful thing, Kitty, but bloody hell, the rich people do not do that. They do not do that at all.
Nope.
They know every single penny from the time I've spent with them anyway, every single penny.
Yeah.
One of the things I always remember about, and I thought I'd done a good thing, and now I'm starting to doubt. I remember giving my card to my son and went, go and get that homeless person a sandwich. And he went over and he asked them what they wanted, and he come out and he'd got a bag full of shopping. And I went, what are you doing? He says, well, Mum, I got him a little bit extra, blah, blah, blah. By the way, my money he used.
Yeah.
He said, I got him a few extra bits and whatever. And I went, oh, good. And I thought to myself, do you know what? I brought my son up properly because he... And then I thought, firstly, he used my money. And then secondly, have I made him as soft as me? You know...
Yeah. You do have to be careful of it. I remember I was in Burger King once. No, was it Burger King? No, I think it was KFC. And I was literally ordering my food. And this homeless man, walks in and he says, he's asking people for chips. So I went and bought him a whole meal. And I said, Igor, here's your meal. He goes, where's the chips? I just wanted the chips, because what he tries to do is he gets people's chips and then goes back in the shop and tries to get money back from it. And the man behind the till was like telling me off, like, he's like, don't do that, because you know he's not going to do the right things, like, you know. So sometimes you help people too much, like, you know. And he just wants to get he just wants to try and scrape enough money to buy I don't know what it is, the crack or whatever drugs he's trying to shoot up himself, like, you know.
The supermarket I go into, there's a woman out there, and once I was walking in and she went, money. And I went, I very rarely carry cash. And I went, I don't have any cash, I'm sorry. And so she went, shopping, and she pulled out a bloody list.
Good God.
And I went, no. She went, pizza, you get me pizza. I went, no. The fact that she pulled out the list, I thought, you cheeky man. Now, if she'd have just said to me, can you get me, you know, a tin of this or blah, 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 or a sandwich, I'd have probably just gone and got it. The fact she pulled a list out, I just went, you cheeky bugger. But they're the ones that make it bad for the others. Like you say, there are those that he wanted his chips for whatever reason to go and take them back to get the money. And then there's her with a list. And then there's people that genuinely need the help.
Yeah, I was in Burger King on Sunday getting my free burger off the app, my free Whopper. And I felt two hands on my shoulders and a very strong smell of alcohol. And I've turned around to my disgust because I don't like people touching me at all. It's only ever freaking drunk people that touch me. And I don't like it, Kitty and Brud, right? Anyway, I've taken a step back and he says, right, can you buy me a meal? I said, you what? Can you buy me a meal? I said, no, I can't, mate. Yeah, but I'm hungry. I said, mate, you stink of alcohol, though. You stink of booze. Like the booze can't have been free. After time, Kitty, you know, I'm not sort of judging all these people, but we're not a charity as well. You can't just go around. You know, imagine if you just helped every single person who needed a fiver, Kitty. I mean, you'd be left with nothing, wouldn't you?
Nikki, I'm too soft sometimes. And also, you know, like if I'm outside the supermarket and there's a guy there and he goes, oh, get us a couple of cans, I will actually go and get it. And people say to me, why'd you do that? I say, because that's what he wants. But I also think to myself, if you're in that state and you're on that, you're in that place where you're living on the streets, maybe you do need to black out and you're running away from something. And maybe that's the way he does it.
Yeah, it's true. But then at the same time, Kitty, why is it left to someone like yourself?
Shout out to you, bro.
Why is it left down to someone like yourself to have to deal with that and feel guilty about that if you feel bad, you know, whatever? Where is the help? And again, it all comes round in a full circle now because we are spending a lot of money on stuff that people may argue money could be better spent elsewhere.
Yeah. And it's that same drunk guy that's begging for sandwiches and begging for this. He's the one that's blaming everyone for. He's the one that wants his country.
That as well. Yeah, there's that as well.
He's the one that wants his country back and blaming the world for his problems. And there's a lot of that out there. Like, you know, some, like, even fully grown men. Like, you know, when you hear them speak, they're not the best speakers, and I know it's hard to articulate yourself, but you know, most of what they say is like, you know, you're telling you is that they don't work. They've probably never had a job before, and they're blaming everyone else for their problems. Your problems ain't ever getting better until you make them better yourself. Like, you know, unfortunately, you know, we'll give you the help that you need. We'll patch you up in the hospitals. We'll give you all the treatment, but your life ain't getting better. And even if I said to this as well the other day, even if every immigrant left the country, your life would still be crap because you do crap stuff. Like, you know, no one's coming to help you, and it might even be worse because you'd end up getting rid of people that are working in hospitals, driving buses, cleaning streets. Like, you know, you getting rid of people that we actually need. So in some areas, people have the same attitude as what you're talking about, Nikki. They would prefer to do nothing rather than do a basic job. So who does the jobs in those areas? Who sweeps the streets? Who cleans up after in the restaurants? You know, who serves the foods at the kebab vans? Like, you know, so.
Yeah, but then this is what I mean, Brad. Like, ask any average person, do you want to clean the freaking toilets in a restaurant?
You
tell me any person, regardless of what background you're from, you tell me any person that really, in their heart of hearts, would want to do that, especially in this day and age, Brad. It's not like 1990s where there was a bit more pride in, I'll just get a job. It's gone.
Never want to do it, but if it was between me and my children getting fed, I'd put them gloves on and I'd start scrubbing.
Yeah, you're lucky. We're lucky you live in the UK where that's an option. If you lived in America, your options would be on the streets with the crackheads.
All right, Kitty, can I just, before you go to the American one, Brad, imagine if your money from sitting on your arsehole is £150 less than sweeping a shitty toilet.
I'd still do it because that £150 my children need.
You would, but we've got to stop putting ourselves in these positions directly and start asking ourselves, what would the average person do? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is this is what is wrong. People want to stay where they are. They've got no grit. One of the questions that we always get asked is, would you date a cleaner, right? And I said yes, because a cleaner will end up owning the cleaning business, and then maybe with me, because I don't want to stay with a cleaner. I want to flourish. Does that make
Work over benefits here every single day. Someone's put man dog
yeah?
main guy. If you want to join the chat, guys, go to YouTube, Bread Entertainment. It's on the screen, and there's a link in the chat. You can click on it; it'll bring you straight in, guys. You can be part of this debate.
There
Sorry.
are people that can't work. They can't work because of their mental health or because of something. I am not talking to those guys. I am genuinely not talking to you. I'm talking about those that can work. Why do you want to sit on your arse? Why? Why don't you want to go and do a training course and make yourself better? That's the part I don't understand. I can't work at the moment because of Mia's conditions and things like that. So I'm working in different ways to make money. But if it come to it and my kids were hungry, I would scrub anything. I don't care.
Yeah, but again, that's you, Kitty. You know, you've got to, in my opinion, we can't just assume that what we think is the right solution for everybody is not. That everybody's vastly, vastly different,
No,
right? And their mentality, their mental state is walking through the doors of a place might be very, very, very difficult for person A, where for a person B, that might be a very simple thing. You know what I mean? But in the 90s, I just want to say that it didn't seem to be like that. It seemed to be like, right, whatever I've got to do to get a job, I'll do it. Now it's more like, I don't fancy that. It's going to do me head in.
Yeah,
and I feel like it's not my place, Kitty, to really, just because I like working and whatever, I don't feel like automatically everybody else should be. I just don't think it's like that anymore. I don't think, even though we got our own opinion, it's just not like that anymore, is it?
The thing about it is, though, it's like, you know, you've got a load of people, like, you know, I think half of our youngsters aren't working. Like, you know, we've got a load of people that are making that sort of decision that they're too good to do certain jobs. And yes, the person sweeping the streets and the person working in some factory, stinking, sweating all day long, like, you know, they may not be they may not be doing the best, they may not be doing what they dreamed and what they hoped, or making the money, or even getting the gratification for what they're doing. But just getting up and doing that job builds you up. It builds you up a lot more than staying at home.
But how do you know that, Brad? How can you say that so confidently? Because every time they step in there, it might bring them down. That's what you don't understand.
But there's a load
in your head, yes.
But if with that attitude, did you think there are people doing jobs that they hate?
Yeah, that's where mental health comes from, Brad. That's where mental health comes from, being in positions that you don't want to be in.
Yeah, but that also makes you as a human being, where you can't have it.
Yes.
Everyone. It will make you if you overcome things. If you overcome things that you're not comfortable doing, that's character building. But it's too easy to say, "Oh, I don't want to do that job. That job's crap. I'll prefer to sit on benefits." This is one of the major this is one of the major things that people have a real issue with in this country. Like, and this is what they say: it's a luxury. Nowhere else on the planet can you say I'm too good for that job and stay in a nice government house or whatever like that. Nowhere else on the planet can you do that. Like, you know, so this is one of the things that, you know, we need to start like, you know, really looking at. And people, I get it. You know, there's people that can't work. If you can't work, you can't work. But then we also know that there's a massive bunch of people that are saying they're too good for jobs and they're not working because of that, and they'll use any excuse they can. Like, you know, and that. You talk about mental health. Staying at home is that's worse. I prefer to be at that factory.
Yeah, again, that's you. That's what we've got to stop doing, is putting ourselves in that position to go, oh, because I feel like this is the way it is. There's people that would stay at home all day and it would be better for their mental health, right?
Yeah.
Than going and facing people or being in a social environment, or they might have anxiety and all this sort of stuff. But what I'm trying to say is everyone is vastly different. We can't just go, I feel like this. I know this would build me up. That's going to build them up. No.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about people with mental health issues. I'm putting them in the category where they can't work. Yeah. If you've got mental health issues, you're not ready to go to work. You're not ready to go and fight. When you are ready to fight, and when you are a person that's got no mental health issues, but you would, right? They're telling you that you'd get, let's say, £700 for a job, and you're going, well, I can get 710 if I sit on my arse all day. Yeah. And you just think to yourself, okay, there's a tenner difference, but where's your pride?
That's so true, Kitty. And I feel like people, like, you're in a luxury position, that we're like, you know, people are in a luxury position that they're born in the UK and they have this choice. Like, you know, in certain countries, they never heard of mental health. If there's something wrong with you, Even the people like in other countries, you get a slap round the head, like, go to work, like, go to work. There's no such thing as mental health. Go to work, like, and it's true. Like, mental health is affecting people and people's pride, self-esteem, doing a job that they hate or whatever. But I'm telling you, as a human being, like, and also if everyone thinks like that, and there are a lot of people that think like that, how can you complain when they have to import people from other countries
You
to
can't.
come and do
You
those
can't
jobs?
complain. You can't
So,
complain.
but it's the people with that mentality that are saying, "Oh, I don't want to do work. I prefer to stay on benefits. I'm only £20 better off if I go to work and do a basic job." It's those people that have the most to say and have the most to say about immigration. And there's generations of them, like, their mum, their auntie, their sister, their daughters, the whole generations in areas where people are making the decision that they're too good to do a job. And people and they're the ones that moan about immigrants. They're moan about immigrants coming over. If English people were doing the jobs, there wouldn't be any other jobs for these people to come and take.
Exactly. I totally agree. I totally agree.
I think certain jobs are just terrible for people's mental health. For example, sweeping toilets. For example, sitting in a Tesco's and listening to beep, 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 beep from 10 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. Unfortunately, there are certain people that will not be able to handle that.
Yeah, but
Won't be able to handle that.
I'm asking.
Right? And then the other thing, sorry, keep holding one. And I think self-esteem has got a lot to do with this as well. Self-esteem has got a lot to do with it, right? If there's a lack of self-esteem generally in a person, you've had it. You've actually had it, right? And again, with self-esteem, unfortunately, in my job of teaching in many, 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 many different schools, like I say, from Borstal, where kids are actually locked up in prison already at the age of 13, 14, because they've done very bad things, to kids that get dropped off in a helicopter, I'm sorry, everybody, there was a massive difference in self-esteem in those kids. When I went to the helicopter schools, it was a fight to talk to me. It was a fight. Nicky, oh my God, guess what I've done? Nicky, listen to this. Other schools that weren't in those areas, the teachers will say, some of these won't be able to look you in the eye today. Don't worry about it. It's not you. It's just a self-esteem thing. Don't worry about it. I don't like that, but that's the reality. And until I started working in those schools, I think a lot of people just assume that they think of school and they go, yeah, but in the school I went to, a bit like what I'm trying to say here, it's easy to assume that the school you went to was school. Mate, when I started working at these schools, it opened up my eyes. I'm telling you, I met these 12, 13-year-olds that have got more confidence at 12, 13 now than I'll ever have in my life already.
But what we're saying,
more self-esteem.
Yeah, but the self-esteem has got to be taught then. We've got to start teaching them.
And it's got to be built as well. Like self-esteem is built.
Built and taught. But how can you teach it when people around you haven't got self-esteem?
But this is saying, so this is where Bruce is saying it's generational, because those they're growing up in houses where mum's signing on and doing what she's doing, and probably got a little bit of money coming in on the side from whatever she's doing, and they're seeing that as a that's how you get through the day. Instead of somebody saying that's not really what you're meant to be doing. You're supposed to go out there and take on the world, and you can do it. You can do it. Go on, you can do it.
Yep.
Building up that self-esteem to literally push and push and push so they break the cycle and they are not.
You see, Kitty, it's easy to say that, right? It's easy to say that. That's like saying to the kids in inner city Liverpool, move to the Wirral, right? All the paper is, because I tell you what, when you talk about where I come from in Maidstone, I'll be honest with you, yeah, it's known as a chav town. We're only 2 miles down the road from Chatham. I brought up in a chav place, okay? I've got no problem with that. I'm very proud of being a chav. I'm a proud English chav, right? And I was told when I was younger, when we heard about Tunbridge Wells and all these places, like I said, oh, you can't go there. That's not for you. I remember my dad saying to me, this ain't for us, son. We don't go to places like that. We're from Maidstone. That's not good self-esteem. I live in Tunbridge Wells now, okay? But for the first couple of years of being here, I had a bit of problems just, do I belong here? Am I allowed here? When I was younger, I was told I shouldn't be here. Do you understand what I mean, people, right?
You've got to start building it then.
Yeah, but then I don't think it's as easy as that, Kitty, because I think when people are struggling, or like my old man, if you've seen where my old man grew up, Kitty, he's proper poverty. Yeah, in Mauritius, where he grew up, it's not nice. It's not nice. And that was probably going to affect you as a person naturally, where you feel lesser of a person already because of how you grew up or how you had to deal with things. And that has been passed on a little bit to me and my brother, a little bit, with questions like, oh, that's not for us. We don't go to those. Why not? Why can't I go to that town? Why can't I go there and mingle with the people? Do you understand what I mean? There's a lot of that going on, Kitty. There's a lot of that going on where people are made to feel like they don't belong at a certain level.
Yeah.
I would say I come from a chav family, right? I come from a chav family. My dad was a bank robber. For God's sake, he was a bank robber. You couldn't get any more chav. Do you know what I mean? But my parents have always said to me, you can go out and do what you like. You can do
That's
it.
good. Well, that's good. Yeah, that's what you need. Yeah, that's what you need.
Go. Come. You go where you want to go. And that is what we've got to instill in our children, so that the next generation will want to go to these to Tunbridge Wells. They'll want to move to these places. We've got to inspire them to go out and do it.
Yeah.
Not
It's different.
sit here and hope that something takes off. You've got to work. You've got to graft. We've got to instill grafting back into our kids. Okay, there are mental health issues where they can't work, and I totally agree with that.
Can I come back to that as well after when you've made your point, Kitty? Let me come back to that.
My brother's got schizophrenia. He can never work with anybody. He can genuinely never work with anybody because he likes to kill them afterwards when he's been working with them for a while. So we've had to stop that. So we've said, maybe work's not for you, Dean.
Let me say something else, right, Kitty? That's mad. But look. Back in the 90s, it would have been hard for an African kid to see how children in the United States of America are living, right? Because there was no internet, there was no infrastructure like that. Imagine if you're an African kid now and you've got your phone, you've got your iPhone, and you can see what's going on, and you can see American kids that are 18, yes, Kitty and Brud, in a Gucci hat, with the tigers on the hat, sat in a Bentley. Okay, sat in a Bentley. And you can see that. Hey, I'm 19, man. We're going to go out today and we're going to have some fun today. Have I not got a right now, as a 19-year-old living in that country, to look at that and go, I'm the same age as that guy?
So go out and do it.
But the thing is, it's a bad example, Nikki. It's a 1 second, sorry, Nikki. It's a bad example because, especially Africans, if you look at the GCSE, Africans, mostly anyone that comes over from another country that comes to this country, they're outperforming English kids. They're outperforming English kids, and they're more likely to get a good job and do other stuff.
True.
They especially Africans. Africans is very some of my friends that are African, their dad would clap them around the head if they didn't do their work and they didn't get A's and B's and stuff like that. They're very strong installed in them. It's mainly.
You're missing my point. You're missing my point. My point is not about education. It's not about African people being doctors and all this. My point is, you can see kids the same age as you sat in a Bentley. Mm-hmm. That's possible, that a kid who's 19 can be sat in a Bentley. Take Africa out of it. Let's just say you're a chav from where I come from.
Yeah.
I can now see that there's 19-year-olds in London that speak nice and they've got this well-to-do thing and they're driving around with Bentleys. So forget about Africa. Just put it towards that. I can see that. Yeah. I think that incites mental health because now you're going to start asking yourself, where's my Bentley? Where's my Bentley? Whereas when no one had the internet, right, you're going to see all that sort of stuff.
Sorry, Nikki, remember what we spoke about earlier? We somewhat spoke about it. There are millionaires, people with millions of pounds. You look at their life, you think it's fantastic. They kill themselves every single day. Millionaires, people with money kill themselves. This is when people are prioritizing the wrong things. Greed is one of the deadly sins. That would be and greed and envy. These things destroy people. If you don't look at yourself and say what's important to me, if what's important to you is materialistic things, eventually, even when you get them, they won't be enough to make you happy. Yeah.
But you're sat there as someone in your 40s with a grounded mind. I am talking about young kids who look on the internet that may not have a developed mind, that ask themselves, why is that 19-year-old sat with a Gucci hat with the tiger on that is $600 and in a Bentley, it's going to do a lot of their heads in, bud. I'm sorry. You look at OnlyFans and all that, how they're chasing all the bucks on there. How everyone's chasing all the bucks because they can see one girl's got money on OnlyFans. Let's all go on there. One person's made money on you. Let's all go on there. Then it doesn't happen. What happens then?
You have to do what you love. You have
That's
to do
my
what you
point.
love.
It's not to do with the African. Can I just
No,
make that clear?
I know
You get my
exactly what you
point now,
meant.
yeah?
I know exactly
It's
what
just
you
the
mean.
jealousy of seeing other people doing other things now. It's more prevalent. It doesn't affect me,
Yeah.
but I can understand why it would affect someone 20 years younger than me that hasn't got a developed mind as well.
Me and said that, right, Mum, I'm watching this bloke and he's out there and he's doing his boxing career and he's made it, Mum. He's made it, right? And I'm not making it. What have I got to say to my son? Well, whose fault is that? You've got to get off your arse and you've got to go and do it. You've got to put yourself out there. You've got to make sure that social media
And why? The most
point,
important thing
Kitty.
is
You just made my point there.
why.
That's my
Your
point.
why. Your why. If you're doing things for the wrong reason, even if you get it, it won't give you that fulfillment. It's the why. Why do you want it? Why do you want it? Why do you want to do this? What I would say, why do you want to have £1 million? Why do you want to have a lovely car and all that? Why do you want these things? Like, if you don't have a why, then once you get it, you're still going to be chasing another high. Like, you think you want it. You see these people with the best lives ever, and you think, oh yeah, I want to live that life. Like, but they may not necessarily. There's this famous guy. I used to see him all the time in London. He used to sweep the roads all day, and this guy was the happiest guy ever. I think they even done a story of him. He used to sweep the streets. This Rasta man, and he used to be known as the singing sweep the room, the singing broom street cleaner or whatever. And people used to look at this guy and think, why is this guy so happy? This guy cleaning streets is so at peace with himself. He loves what he's doing. That gives him his pride. Even a millionaire will look at him and be envious of his happiness. And there are millionaires that see people that are happy with nothing. And they think, why is this person happy? I've got more money than them. I've got a better car than them. I've got a better life than them. Because they aren't chasing what really makes them happy. They aren't being true to themselves in whatever way. Like, if you're happy, if you're doing everything that you love doing, and not all of it, that is a luxury. Don't get me wrong, it's a luxury. But you can have a passion for something. Like, you got a passion for music. Like, when you do it, you feel passionate. Obviously, you would feel great about making loads of money from doing it as well. But
it's not my main. My main goal is to get people dance. I've never once thought about money.
You see, that's it. That's
once.
it, though. That is it. That's important. That's
important. It is very important. I want to give
why.
people a dance, and it means a lot to me. I just want to see people dance to my music, man. That's all. That is it. I'd die a millionaire if they just dance to my music, and that I don't scrap the money. But you've good point, Brad. Bang on.
Yeah.
But again, we are developed here, people. Like we're a bit older. I feel for some of these young people in their confusion, and I feel that if I was younger, I might have got drawn into that confusion. And quite easily got drawn into that confusion.
So much. We've talked about this so much that there are people that are chasing something that's not, they don't understand. So most of these social media stars that are making it, it's because of an accident. Something's happened and they've just took off. And
it's luck. It's
luck.
Sometimes.
It's not, and they're probably grafting and they'll get there eventually. But to them then, it's not fair. It's not fair because
but often, Kitty, right? Often I found as well with some of these people who have been brought up in a rich environment, they're more open to dreams and their parents are more open to dreams. Okay, I'll give you an example. There was 2 kids at my school that both wanted to be a DJ. One had parents that was like, his mum was a model, his dad was a businessman and all that sort of stuff. Now he DJs at the Ministry of Sound and I think he gets about 10 grand a set. The other one had the old, I suppose you could say religious parents, didn't support it. No, son, you're going to university. Oh, he's fuming now. And then also when I go into all these rich schools, it was their self-esteem, like a failure. I'm telling you, a failure for these kids is 350 grand a year, hedge fund manager, middle of London, because your dad's friend has employed you because he knows you're struggling, is a failure. Oh, do you hear about him over there? He's only on 350 grand a year. He's really screwed his life up. Because what does he do? Oh, he's hedge fund manager. Oh, you're joking. You're joking. What do you mean? He's not a multi-millionaire like us lot. They're expecting it, Kitty. Kitty, these lot are looking out the window. They're bringing in pictures to me. I said, whose car's that? Oh, it's my dad's car, that. What is it? Oh, it's a Ferrari. Normal. You see, where I come from, people see a Ferrari, they start knocking one out because they can't believe it. Oh, my God, look at that car. Oh, my God, what's happening there? To them, oh, it's just a Ferrari. My old man's got 2 of those. There's a lot of that going on as well. Self-esteem for me plays a big part in it.
No, it's
It's-
as
and
a
you sort
man
of-
as well. As
Go
a
on,
man
go
as
ahead.
well, because as I'm sorry, Nikki, as a man as well, it's this and this social media, seeing it all. We spoke about it earlier, Nikki. It's destroying relationships as well because
Mad.
women are no longer settling for a bin man or a postman or anything. Well, they eventually they settle, but normally eventually they settle once they once they go around the block and they get all the all the sort of heartache and all the sort of mental health issues that comes from chasing certain things, being a puppet, being on someone's sheet, being on someone's arm. Like, you know, eventually they realize, you know, the penny does drop and they will end up with that postman. But sometimes women are at a stage where they're like really looking like, because, you know, it's crazy. Like, you know,
Love seems to have overtaken money for women, definitely. Money seems to have overtaken love for women,
Yeah.
generally speaking. I don't want to
Yeah.
insult anyone. I just want to say generally, okay, people.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean, you back in the caveman days, you used to look for the provider. The woman used to look for the
and that's normal. Yeah.
Normal, yeah.
She would, you know, gravitate towards the guy that would come back with the pig, you know, and that's always how it's been. A
Normal,
woman
yeah.
go to the most powerful man in the room
Yeah.
because he's the provider, and
Yeah.
that is, and you know, and that's what men and women. Men are the providers, women are the homemakers. It's always been, and it just so happens now that it's money that they're chasing. You know, the man with the biggest or likes and views. That's their new thing, that they're chasing that. But we know it's because they know that they'll be comfortable because they'll be provided for, and it's that provider role. I think.
But
I mean, I'm going from my own point of view, but at the same time, if I met a man and say, for instance, you and I got together, Nikki, and you was like, I want a career, I want to make people dance, blah blah blah, and you're like, I'm not making much money right now, and I'd go, right, okay. But by tomorrow, we'll have built a plan, or next week, we'll have built a plan that we're going to put that into place.
That's the best way, when you get someone who actually loves you, who believes in you, where you're together, you both go like that. If you both go like that, I think happiness is up here. But unfortunately, like Brad's saying, a lot of these people are going to get to there and sort of go,
women will gamble.
No?
Women will gamble, and eventually they will settle. Like, you know, so if they like, some guys have got dreams, and some women will sit with them for a little bit, but if it ain't fast enough, there's already if they're good looking enough, there's already a guy that's already made it, and they'll jump ship straight away. Like, you know, they stick or twist, and they will twist on you the moment they realize that, you know, it's not as fast as, like, this guy's got his own house, this guy's got his own money, he's got family money, I'm going over there, mate. Like, and, you know, that's a woman's job, like, you know, is really to seek out the best male. But unfortunately, there's only so many of these like most women, the typical thing is 6 foot tall, makes £100,000 a year, and all the rest of it. Like, you know, that's only 10% of men.
I'm starting to think I am transgender, you know, because I make a terrible woman, because I don't think like that. Because if he's not making it, I'll go out and bloody make it myself, but I'll still love him. So maybe I'm an exception to the rule. I don't know.
There's old school women out there for sure. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, it's only some women. It's only some women, but even, you know, who was it? It was what's that guy's? Oh man, I forgot his name. The black guy that was crying. I think he was in Fast and Furious. The black guy. He's famous.
Oh,
who?
Is it Tyson or
Tyrese, yeah. So he met his chick. He's had massive problems. Tyrese, he's had massive problems with his chick. His chick said to him, "Oh, when he met her, she was young. He met her and she was like, oh, I don't care about no money and blah, blah, blah." And now the divorce things happen. Like, she's divorced him and that. And now she's asking for money for the kid and all the rest of it. And he was like, wait a minute, I thought you didn't care about money. So women will get, like, the corruption, like, you know, corruption's there. Like, you know, like, it's these footballers and boxers and all sorts of things. They really struggle because their career is so centered around their football training. They've got a life set out for them. Their wives are out doing whatever they want, spending the money. And as soon as they retire, all of a sudden they've got this lump of wood hanging around the house all the time, and they're like, divorce.
Yeah,
like straight off the career.
Every time. There's Premiership footballers around here. Like, you know, I've got to be very careful, but I got to chat into someone whose employment is with, let's just say, someone who was very, very famous. She just goes out shagging, and he sort of accepts it. You know, fed up now. But when they were 21, when he was in the limelight, And they were like that. They were like that. Fucking bored piece of wood round the house now.
Yeah.
It happens, man.
Like I say, I must be an exception to the rule because I am just like, let's build.
Probably why Gary
Yeah, but
Neville's too
Kitty,
busy.
you've got nice old school values where a woman might actually look at a guy and go, do you know what? You're charming, you're nice, I believe in you. If we do this, both of us can go like that. There used to be a lot more like that. But now it's more of a case of,
I want it now.
yeah, sorry, Kitty, I missed what you said there.
Don't get me wrong, if he annoys me, I'll probably stab him. But yeah. I just, if I'm giving myself with love, I'm giving everything. And I do believe that relationships should be 100%. And sometimes a man or a woman can only give 20%, so you've got to give 80, but it's always going to be 100. And that's how I feel that a relationship should be. Like I say, I might have old school values and it might be just, I might be totally different. You don't know. Listen, somebody could slide into my inbox tomorrow and I could go, do you know what? Screw it all. I'm going to go and marry him.
And that's the carrot. That's the carrot of that's the carrot of being a woman in a way that there are men out there. You have to be careful because there's some psychos out there as well. Like I would say that as well. Even amongst the best of the men that the women seek out, there are some absolute psychos out there. So women do have to be careful with that. But the average woman, even an average woman, can post a picture of herself a little bit flirtatious, and in her inbox she'll have 100, 200, 300 men telling her how beautiful she is and all the rest of it, wanting to date and wanting to court them. And then some women get confused by those options, like I said about earlier, about sex options and dating and real relationship options. But that's still an ego boost. If you go in your inbox, how many women have told you look stunning today, Nikki?
Only about 20.
Oh, fair enough.
No, I'm joking. Zero people is the answer. Zero. Can you believe that? Zero.
I can't believe that. I'm going to send you a message later, Nicky.
Go on, Kitty. Get my
Amazing,
self-esteem
Charlie.
up, man. Get my self-esteem up there.
40 years married, Charlie. Well done, buddy. Well done. 40 years. Well done.
But, I mean, you go into mine and let's be honest, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. And they're offering me the world. And they're offering me everything. But I don't want you. You don't need to offer me everything because I'll go out and get it myself. Yeah. But then, like you say, it's probably because I'm old school.
Yeah. And you're able to separate the BS as well. Like, most of these guys, unfortunately, they just want to beat. They just want to beat. They want to get their load off, and it's become, social media has become a shopping cart. Like, some men seriously look at it as like they see a pretty woman. Like, even right now on social media, there'll be a whole load of thirsty men just searching through TikTok to find a woman to talk to her and, try and, I don't know, whatever. But there's a lot of thirsty men out there. They need to try to do better.
They've got no game either. So many times, no game.
Can I ask a person? Can I ask a question to I Am Charlie? Right, I Am Charlie's comment says, "I am not married to a footballer, but I am celebrating 40 years of marriage." I Am Charlie, may I ask you? Can you tell us in the comments what is the secret behind 40 years of happy marriage?
How did you see that comment?
Because I'm squinting my eyes because I like...
Oh, okay. Oh, you can see it. Okay. I was wondering how you saw that. Wait, let me make it a little bit bigger.
I'm squinting my eyes because I like chatting to the people, man. I want to chat to the people.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put it in the middle. If you move to the other side, move to the other side and I'll put it there. There you go.
That's much better, yeah.
So you lot can see.
Are her lips real? Who are you talking to there?
I think he's talking about you.
Are your lips real, Kitty?
When I was at school, I'll let you into a little secret. When I was at school, they called me Dingy Lip because my lips were so big. So
I know, Kitty, have you had a new haircut recently? Your hair's styled or something?
No,
You've done something.
It got wet at the weekend, so I had to really straighten it because it was like, so.
Charlie's put. You can see it there, can you?
Oh yeah, I can see it now. Yeah, okay. Forgiveness for starters. Forgiveness for what?
That's important. That's important for a long term. That's important for a long term relationship, because people fuck up.
Yeah. But forgiveness for what though? Would you forgive someone for cheating, for example, Brad, on Kitty? Would you forgive someone for that?
It depends. It depends on the situation. It depends. Do you know, I had a friend once and her husband cheated on her, And the worst thing he said to me, because I actually went for him when he said it. He sat there and he went, "It meant nothing. The affair meant nothing." And I went for him. And he went, afterwards, he went, "Why?" And I said, if you'd have said you'd have fallen in love with her, I'd have understood. But it meant nothing. And you
Yeah.
gave everything away for nothing. And that to me is no, you don't do that.
I wouldn't forgive cheating no matter what. I'm the same as Krish Sabrina. You and I were on the same page here. If I get in a relationship, I say to the person, "Listen, anything goes, but if you cheat on me, we're done. We're done. I'm not accepting that at all. I'm gone. I'm not being cheated on, man. I'm gone."
I can't say that because I did.
But where you're like a very old school woman and quite a real woman, I'm pretty sure you understand that, some men will do stupid things, like, and it will mean absolutely nothing. And sometimes, like, with the merge of the OF industry as well, some men will just use that to stimulate their desires, like, because men have these desires, and sometimes a woman isn't able to fulfill them, and it's that man has to be strong enough to say, right, I'm either going to go and watch some pee, or I'm going to go. Some men go out, some men watch porn, some men go cheat, some men go to escorts, and some men develop relationships with work colleagues and all the rest of it.
But who would get with someone who can't fulfill their desires, though? That's what I don't understand. Why would you get with someone who can't even fulfill your desires? For me, that would have to be a massive tick on my list. They would have to be able to fulfill desires.
Where's that I am 40? Where's that I am Charlie 40? I guarantee you, if you ask most men, are they getting their needs met at home, even if their wife does everything for them, they're probably going to say there's a hell of a lot more that she could be doing.
Yeah, and some men have got secret fetishes that they don't want to tell.
Yeah, but then that my point is, like, you should be having that. If you love someone and you've got a secret fetish, you should have that fetish with them.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I totally agree, babe. But there are some that haven't got.
But people bottle it and they lie to each other. People bottle it and lie to each other because they're pretending to be someone that they're not, just so they can get married and settle down.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
true.
they go down to the whorehouse because they're having a better time down there.
That's true.
It's pathetic. I would only go with I would only settle down with someone where sexually would have to be very decent. Otherwise, what's the point? I don't get it.
No, you're totally right. There should be an openness, but we're British.
Listen,
I was convinced on Saturday.
Don't say that on air, Sarah. You'll get like 50 different proposals to you that you're single. Jesus, woman.
I literally thought people stopped to queue at traffic lights on Saturday because they turned red. I was like, this is what we do. We're British. We queue and we stop at red traffic lights. British people aren't very comfortable talking about sex.
Well, let's talk about it now, because Dainty in the comments says too many men are SMEX addiction. What is SMEX? I presume you meant SEX.
Yeah, she means addiction. Yeah.
Well, it's not just men; it's women as well. Because when you get the right combination between two people, then both of them turn into freaking sex addicts, not just one. I think there's a problem where you got one that likes sex and one doesn't, and then they start finding each other unattractive. That's why I think it's important. I know this is really old school now, people. I am in my 40s, so listen, it's very old school what I'm about to say. That's why loving someone's personality is very important, because surely if you love their personality, you're going to want to mash them up as well.
I wouldn't say that's the case, to be honest with you. I wouldn't say that's the case in long-term relationships. Like, it's more, and you have to bear in mind there's timing. Like, it's timing. Like, people are working, people are working, there's children, there's all sorts of bits going on. Like, there's no time, like, but the man unfortunately has those needs, and he's going to fulfill them however he can. Either he's going to watch the corn.
But a woman has needs, man.
Yeah. I think you should. I think we need. I think I need to get a whole load of men in long-term relationships in here and give Nikki the lowdown of what it's really like.
Mate,
Nikki might be confused over it a little bit.
No, Nikki's not confused, people, because Nikki's in his 40s and he's been around quite a long time, and Nikki's had to listen to all his friends moan while I've been out on the pool in town dancing, having a good time.
What kind of things do your friends say?
Oh, mate, I don't get it at home. Oh, I'm going to have to go down the old shop and sort myself out and get a massage. Oh, mate, I'm bored of my missus. I can't stand my missus is fat. I don't fancy her anymore.
Jesus.
Honestly, I've heard it, and I'm like, mate, why did you? Fuck, that's a bit strong, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't you love her though? And if you loved her, you could maybe gently say to the person, if you found them unattractive because of that, you could maybe gently say, "Should we go to the gym once a week? Have a
Ooh,
little run,
That's the worst thing you could say, mate. That's the worst thing you could say to
keep
a woman.
ourselves healthy."
Yeah, mate, especially in this day and age where most women, if you even insinuate anything about a woman's weight, most women will really go for you for that, and they probably won't talk to you for about a month.
Yeah, but then what you do, you insinuate it through health, right? Because you tell them that you love them, and you tell them that you don't want to get a freaking heart attack, which is the truth, right? And then you tell them that you don't want them to get cancer, and you just say to them gently, "Shall we start keeping ourselves fit? If we can't go down the gym and do it, let's have a few rounds upstairs."
I would put a pillow over your.
Man, dog, sounds like a peaceful week, a month.
I would literally put a pillow over your head while you slept.
Why? For saying that I wanted someone to be healthy and I was worried about their health.
No, because it's all in her mind. All she's heard
Is your fat? Yeah.
No, I've said it to someone before, and they're so grateful. I've said it to two people before, right? Who actually, one of them's a good friend, and do you know what? She was getting cancer, and it was bad. And I said to her, like, "Please, can you keep yourself healthy? Like, you're my friend. Like, I like you. Do you know what I mean? I care about you. Just keep yourself healthy." That you'd have to put it like that, Kit. You wouldn't just say to someone, "Oh, your ass looks like orange peel" or whatever. You would say to them, if you love them, you would never say that. You would gently dress it in sugar coating, as they call it. And just from a health point of view, Kitties, from a health point of view, I would say it because you'd want someone to live longer. That's why I would say it.
into the converted. I have gone from half. I am half my size. I'm half my size. I agree with the health side of it, but what I'm saying is, she's got to
Look
want.
at these comments, man.
Yeah,
She's
honestly,
gotta
and
watch
they're being kind. If the other ladies were in here, if some of my other ladies were in here, yeah, they'd be a lot more harsher. Let's just say, because from my experience dealing with women and dealing with women on different sides of different careers and stuff like that, if I even mentioned anything to do with their weight or anything like that, that would be the end of it, and that'd probably be the end of me. I'd be the next AT, like, you know, being labelled a misogynist and
it's
all the
true,
rest
but
of
then
it.
a lot of blokes cheat on their women because they put on weight. They've told me about it. I don't fancy my missus anymore. She's put on weight and all this. And I think, well, you should maybe if you really truly love their personality, that wouldn't have been so much of a problem, right? Number one, and number two, you can't just go to the whorehouse every time you think that.
Maybe that's where the Muslim guys have got it right, where they can have 5 wives and 4 wives and stuff like that. Maybe they've got something right over there. I don't know.
I don't know what to do now. Am I allowed to smile or not? I don't know what to do, man. I don't know what to do. Shit, my mouth's curling up. It's curling up. Get down, get down.
Listen, at the end of the day, I mean, you're talking to a woman. There are certain parts of my body I don't like. And I remember telling a guy, and I was like, look, before you even start, right, it looks all great from the outside. But when you strip it down, there's bits I don't like. And he went, what kind of person do you think I am that would actually... I adore you for who you are and the fact that you're an absolute lunatic. The looks are just a bonus. And that was one of the first times that had ever happened to me. Before that, I used to have an ex that would tell me that I needed to lose weight constantly, and I was fat.
Crash Sabina, I'm going to take a look at your profile, and I guarantee you're a fitness chick. I just guarantee that you're a fitness chick in really good shape. Let me just have a look right now.
Well, let's read out the comment, because I think Krish is agreeing with me a little bit and just giving me a bit of leeway here, right? I just feel like if a woman's that sensitive about it, surely they do. Exactly, yeah? And surely, if you love someone you care about them, you're going to want to keep yourself nice and sweet. When I'm in a relationship, people, I keep myself sweet because I want that person to have a nice experience when I take my freaking top off.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I go to the gym most days.
Oh, she's a size 16, that person is saying, bro.
Oh, okay. I got scared there. I thought she said she was 16. I was like, I just saw 16 and I got scared there. I was like, what? But...
Curvy 16s. Though.
Yeah, she says hourglass, yeah, which is what it's all about, the hip to waist ratio. You know what I mean? A size 16 is not a problem if there's nice hip to waist ratio. It's lovely, man.
Yeah.
Nice bit of meat, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think most men like that as well. I think.
Oh, mate,
I think most men like curvy women. Like, I feel like the men that are with really skinny women, I guarantee you, they're the ones out there cheating with women, and but about men are beasts. Men have desires for everything. If you've got a skinny woman, you want a chunky woman. If you've got a woman with no boobs, and you want a woman with boobs. If you want a woman without an ass, you got what
Well,
men always want what they don't have.
yeah,
It's one of those things.
that's why I think you need to get it out your system before
sure.
you settle down and do all those things that you want to do. Oh, I like skinny women. Well, go on in before you settle down. Oh, I like big women. Well, go on in before you settle. Oh, I like this. Go on in before you settle. But the problem is, a lot of blokes settle down at 23 and go, "You used to be quite fit. She's got a fat ass. Oh shit, I've cheated. What have I done?" Well, is it because you settled down when you were 23 and you didn't know what you was doing?
Jonathan Ross talks about his wife, Jane Goldsmith is her name.
Yeah, he's got a pretty wife though. She's fit,
Yeah.
man. He's got a good one.
He goes up and down like a horse draws with her weight. She's up and down.
Yeah.
Great. He said it's like having a mistress.
Different me.
Yeah, he says, because one minute she's this like gorgeous, like really skinny, he says, and then she's this voluptuous,
Yeah.
curvy. He says, and it's great. He says, it's like I'm cheating, but I'm not cheating because she's my wife. So maybe that's the way forward, ladies. We've got to go up and down like a horse.
Do you know what, Kitty, right? I'm glad you brung them up because he loves that woman. You can tell how much he loves her. Whenever I've seen them together, he's so respectful to her. He tells her she's beautiful. That's how it should be. That's my point. I think when you've got all of that, you're going to have the brilliant sex life. You're going to have a great relationship with somebody. You're going to be really, really happy with them. You won't mind if they put on weight because you still love them anyway. If you love someone's personality, surely that is sexy. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's true. That is true.
Sexy.
That is true, but unfortunately, the main problem is actually when women put on weight, it's not the men. It's not the men that don't fancy. It's them. They don't. They don't feel sexy themselves. They don't feel.
That's right.
If you don't feel sexy, the last thing you're gonna want to do is,
Yeah. And it doesn't matter how many times you tell them.
No, it doesn't. You can't. You can tell. And bro, I've told women that they look. I've looked at women and I've told them, you look, you're really pretty. You're really good looking. They don't have it. But in their mind, their definition of pretty is whatever their brain has deemed pretty. Most likely what's on the TV, like, a Kardashian or, some sort of not page three model, but I'll show my age there, but, some Instagram model, for instance, like that's their idea of pretty. Long ass hair, big backside. It's like, I've seen women with lovely figures, like beautiful bottoms, beautiful. And they've gone and put all this liquid stuff in there and made their bum about 10 times the size. And I'm just like,
yeah.
And it's like, but in their mind, they're chasing that Kim Kardashian look, that artificial look.
Why ruin your beautiful body like that?
Yeah. The tattoos are the worst. The tattoos are the worst. Like, I see some women like stunning and they've covered their whole body in tattoos, like, and not like just a few lovely tattoos everywhere. They've literally colored half their skin. So it's like, so it's like they're not white. They're not, you can't even see their color anymore. Like, they're either green, red, or, whatever color they've chosen to do.
Yeah. I had a compliment from my mum the other day, and my mum doesn't like tattoos, and she went, I have to say yours look really good. So that was a compliment from my mother. But I totally agree. There are some beautiful ladies out there, and unfortunately, they don't believe it. They just don't.
Yeah. It's sad.
They will go and wreck themselves.
Can you blame the guy for going out and cheating then? If he's tried to do everything for his wife, he's tried to get her, he's tried to tell her how beautiful she is, he's bought her some nice clothes, he's trying to get that passion going, but she still won't do it because she don't feel sexy or she puts no effort in. Can you blame the guy?
If at that point, I think it's time to leave her. I'll be honest.
That's harsh.
Can I say to Man Dog as well, right? Man Dog, your comment says overly tattooed chicks, it's like making out with the She-Hulk, right? I worry about what they're going to look like when they're older. Because their tattoos look lovely in their 20s, but then I've seen pictures and stuff where you think, man, is that what they look like when you get older, is it? So I find them unattractive when everyone's older. Like, it's all well and good having tattoos when you're young, they look cool, but often when they're like been there a while, I don't think they look good at all, me. That's my personal opinion. I don't think they look good. And also, like, I think you're committing to something there with a tattoo. I'm notorious for not committing to stuff. My mates will tell you, I've got no tattoos, man. I've got nothing against them, really, but I just don't think they look great when people are older. I don't like the colour they turn. And
I've got over 20. I'm 50 and I've got over 20.
It's your body, Kitty. I'm happy for you,
But there's one that men absolutely love. There's one in particular, and it's literally one half of my cheek. Well, it's one cheek, and it looks fabulous. I love it, and the men love it. They
Fair
love.
enough. Yeah, fair enough.
But I'm 53, so by rights, really, I'm getting to that age where it's going to start looking, you know. But no, I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep working out.
That's the thing with fitness now. With fitness, even if you are like out there in terms of like odd shaped or whatever, if you go to the gym nowadays, like, you know, these gym women are showing it. Like, you know, I'm seeing 80-year-old women that look fine because, you know, they've gone to the gym, they've pumped up the backside, you know, they've got the hips popping, like, you know, like the face ain't great, but, you know, the main, you know, everything else is okay, like, you know, so it's there. But guys, I think we're gonna end it about here, guys. We've had some great interactions. We've just been talking and talking and talking. I don't know how, nearly 2 hours. It was only meant to be an hour. Guys, thank everyone for joining. Kitty, Nikki, New, they'll all be tagged on social media, tagged on my stuff. Thank you very much for joining. Guys, if you missed the show, you can go to Brad's Entertainment and watch the show live there on YouTube. It says it right here. I'll move this round.
When are we coming back on to talk to the people, Brad?
I'm Monday to Friday is my new sort of like thing where I'm going to be doing it. So anytime, guys. Normally between about 12 and 3 that we normally get going, but I normally have quite a few shows.
The people have loved it today, mate. I'm telling you, there's been a lot of good positivity coming from this conversation, and people have been loving it. Fair play to all the people that have taken part today.
It's human because it's real, and because we're just people off the, you know, like just normal people. We're not snooty or anything like that, and we're open to each other's opinions. Like you said, there's been several opinions today that we've not all agreed on, but.
Yeah, come and talk to us, people. Ask us any questions you want. And you can ask us, thank you for the follow as well. Please get Brad follow people. Yeah, he's a great guy. He's loads of fun. He's always encouraging us to express ourselves and talk. He's invited all of you on the show today. If you're too frightened to come on the show for whatever reason, that's okay. You can talk to us in these comments. You can ask us whatever you want, any questions. I've loved all the comments from all the people, Brad. I've loved it. I think they're well funny, man. You've got some good crowd here.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Guys, TikTok. I am departing from TikTok. Guys, you lot have a lovely day. Peace and love to you. Make sure you do follow, especially on YouTube, guys. Brad's Entertainment. Man Dog, as always, bro. Have a good one, bro. Peace and love to you. All right, TikTok ended. Right, let's end our other ones. YouTube, Facebook, all the rest of you guys, you lovely people. Peace and love to you.
Boom, boom.
Yeah, I know that.